M0FXB, welcome to my videos on the XIEGU X6100. If you find these useful, please like and subscribe to my channel. 7.3, all the best. M0FXB, thought I'd do some video on the XIEGU 6100 and the ICOM 705 without the POV carry cage, because I had that on my 705. I'll just show you what that looks like. This is the POV carry cage that I use with my 705, and I highly recommend it. I know it hasn't got anything at the back, but it just works well on the carry cage and you can add things to it. So I'm very pleased with it. So let's have a proper look at these two radios. So the side port on this, it will just say BNC, IQ out, DC, and then 705. I'll remember myself now. SD card at the bottom. That's where the microphone plugs in as well. You've got a 2.5mm and a 3.5mm jack. Earthing connection here and BNC, and these are all waterproof. Now notably, if you look at the X6100, I can't see any waterproofing there. I can't see how that's possible without any rubber covers. Now at the back here, the battery, which is actually an 8-volt battery on the X100, is built into it. I mean, it's all changeable. I've seen the radio dismantled, and you know, it can be changed. And so with the 705, you've got the ID51 Plus type battery, and it works well, and it will go into the drop-in charger of the handhelds and the 705. And then from this side, you've got the different connectors here. It's a bit dark here. DC in, micro USB. Now one of these is going to be AC, isn't it? The other one's going to be key, tuner, and send ALC. And then the micro USB can be used for things like doozy and FT8. You've got your microphone socket there, the traditional one, SD card here, which is also used for firmware, as it is with the 705. Also here on this X6100, you've got USB-C ports. One, like I use the DEV one here for FT8, and apparently the host one are the ones where you can plug in things like your mouse and your keyboard and other things. So they're both very portable devices. I think if I had a carry cage for the X6, I'd probably use it more. I do like the buttons on the top. So let's turn it on for the rest of this video. So we'll hold down the button. Yeah, I have to hold it for 2 seconds on the X6100. There you go. We'll get an antenna on there as well in a minute. So, I mean, the video doesn't really do it justice, to be honest. It's a very nice looking screen. It hasn't got the functionality of the 705. I'll just show you the buttons. PTT, band up and down, AM, FM, CW. It has a built-in tuner, A&B, VM, preamp, ACC, and FST, which is frequency step. Display frequency A and B, and there is split mode, AGC here, and we can change that. Audio scope, full waterfall scope. It's not as changeable as the 705. Power here, which you can change this little power thing to select other items within the menus. It's on 5 watts on battery, 10 watts with a DC input. Then you have selections here. General is your main menu here. App is where you can select your modem for FT8. Let's get it right now. Modem for decoding, CW, RTTY, BPSK, SWR scan. Not going to put that on now because it goes into transmit. That works well. And then voice call. Key is all your CW settings here, and there's two menus. We'll hit message recording, voice and text. DFN is your noise blanker, noise reduction, and then DFL is your filters, and they work well. You can see along the top it's showing battery lock. You lock it with this button. There is a microphone built into the XIEGU, and also you can PTT from it. So it could be a handheld with a rubber duck that was suitable for band. VFO, nowhere near as nice to turn as the 705, but it does work fine. To me, the VFO is okay. That's what I'll give the VFO. Using the radio is great fun. And then price-wise, £550, £600. So half the price of this. Hence, you know, you get a lot more for your money with the 705. And this is your multi-function knob, and you can push this button, and you can push both of these buttons for selections. And the tuner, its built-in tuner, works really well on test. So it's great fun to use. And if you like the XIEGU products, if you'd like to spend, you know, £600 instead of £1,200, I think it's a good choice. There are firmware improvements. Right, let's turn the other one on. So hold down the 705. See if we can get the screen a bit brighter. So we'll go menu, set, display, and we can back it up a bit. Of course, you can change the brightness on the X6100. The main changes really are that this one is VHF, UHF and D-Star. There's no tuner in the 705. I mean, there's many functions I could show you. You've got a multi-knob, you know, these buttons push as well. Your filters, come out of DR mode, hit some filters here, and there you go. 1, 2, 3. It's just brilliant. And it's definitely, for me, when I'm using it, it's better quality in every way than the XIEGU, but that's because you pay a lot more for it. But yeah, you do have to add a tuner. I just want to show you what it's like to hold these items, so you get a feel for what they're like to hold. So there you are. See, I've got my hand, it's quite, and weight wise, yeah, it's quite a chunk. That's what it's like to hold. And with this one, because you've got the PTT here, rubber duck here, you know, it's sort of like a handheld. It'd be good if they did the screen orientation different. And then let's hold the, so now the 705, I would say, is a lot harder to hold. It's a much deeper feeling radio. You'd struggle at using that as a handheld. Yeah, it's got the BNC. I mean, effectively, it's the same idea. I think you'd struggle. And I think it feels a bit heavier. VFO though is much nicer on it, much smoother. And when I've listened to it, it's just nicer to use. But I'm still very pleased with both radios. I use them in different situations. So let's just show them on top of each other and add the antennas and have a listen. And you've got the headphones work very well on the XIEGU. So let's tap here. A key thing to remember is I can select things just by touching the screen with the 705, whether it's the band, the mode, everything. It's all touch screen, and that's quite nice. And it's all, you know, obviously buttons, lots of buttons to push on the XIEGU, which I think some people would prefer and quite like. Let's get the same frequency on here. Now the noise reduction is on. We can use filters. Right, let's swap the antennas. Okay, we swapped the antennas. We've got the noise reduction on as well, which we can adjust here. In this case, I would say almost say in this case that the X100 sounded better. Let's swap back. Let's see if we can tune it a bit. Tune to someone else. It's a bit sharp there. Let's get the filters back on. They're back where they were. Let's turn that back up. So there's no noise reduction at the moment. Okay, we'll swap the antenna again. I would say you can go louder on the 705. And the other thing is you can tap the screen to move the band. You can't do that on the X100. Also, you've got scroll mode. There's scroll mode. Let's turn it up. We'll give a call in a minute. And of course, the other thing is we can just switch a push of a button to VHF, UHF. So if we just use our memory channels for now. Look, we're on 50 megs. Now you've got 50 megs on the XIEGU. These are memory channels programmed in VHF, UHF. And they all work great. There's no compromise. Hold down DR mode here. That's for D-Start. And then we've got our different hotspots and local repeaters and D-Star repeaters that we can scroll through, and it works great, you know, even on very low power. As you know, the Bluetooth is working on this. I've tested that earlier, and it has Wi-Fi. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi is on the XIEGU, but it's not working. We're waiting for firmware updates, and let's see how good that waits and what that allows us to do. So there you go. I think it gives you, you know, if you're thinking about getting one or the other, for me, the XIEGU is more like a mini 7300. There goes Mazzy. But it's more like a mini 7300. Why? Because when I look at my 7300, it's a HF 6-meter radio with a built-in ATU. Which is pretty much what the 7300 is. Yeah, that's a superior radio, but that's what this feels like using. This is like a mini version. So obviously the 7300 is a lot bigger. So I think it's going to be a very popular radio. I think that the firmware updates will improve all the bugs, and I also think, because the thing about the XIEGU is that it will boot from an SD card, and it will boot a different operating type radio. Now I'm not doing that. Other hams are working on that, but that's incredible that you can have a different sort of screen operation just by adding an image to an SD card. So that's really why I bought this radio, because it appealed to me. The 705 is a no-brainer. 705 to me is the best radio ever made in my book. I just think it is. I just use it. I just think it's amazing. But it doesn't stop me from wanting other radios as well. So I hope this is interesting, and I'll chuck it onto YouTube and see what you think. 7.3, all the best.